For more on this, we are joined by political analyst Levy Ndou. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time this evening. A tense situation for the ANC. One is the confirmation that the conference goes ahead, and on the other end is a urgent court interdict. What is your take as we look at the two scenarios?
Good evening to you, Paul. Good evening to the viewers at home. It is not surprising at all to have these kind of developments taking place at the ANC conference. These things are taking place because this is a highly contested conference. And when the conference is highly contested, without knowing the person who might win the conference, you then get the delegates that are in a very tense mood. You then get delegates who are bogged down onto the election results, and their main focus will be on the elections rather than other important aspects. But another issue that would continuously drag this conference is the issue of the quarantined votes, and especially from eKurhuleni. And when you look at this matter of eKurhuleni, one would say, I suppose that would be an argument, that how do you go to a provincial conference knowing that there are outstanding issues that took place at eKurhuleni? Maybe you should have first dealt with those issues before you go to a provincial conference. The other argument, in my view, from those people will be that the people that are leading the delegation of eKurhuleni, there is a possibility that they might not be the right people to be the leadership of eKurhuleni because of the unresolved matters. And my view is that maybe the provincial leadership, even at national level, should have actually dealt with this matter so that when they move towards conference, they have actually resolved the concerns or dealt with the matter of the quarantine votes of eKurhuleni. Another aspect for me is that the inability of the ANC, either at regional level, some provinces, and at national level, their inability to sit down, have discussions, agree, and persuade each other on leadership would lead to this kind of contestation, which historically has actually led the ANC in big trouble. Look at the hot contestation that took place in Polokwane many years ago. Look at the contestation that took place in Nazareth. It creates groupings within the party which, beyond the conference, the ANC is unable to manage.
As you make mention of those groupings and perhaps the repercussions, you essentially warning that a lack of a succession plan is really dangerous for the ANC.
The lack of succession plan, the inability of the members and leaders of the ANC to persuade each other towards conference appears to be one of the big challenges facing the ANC. And in my view, the democracy that the ANC fought for appears to be developing to become an enemy within the party based on how this democracy is being exercised. In my view, some members of the ANC, when they contest for power or when they want positions for power, they don't look at the long-term plan. Their only focus is on the elections and elections only. And I would have expected that Gauteng would actually have learned from other provinces so that they could try to persuade each other, avoid what has happened at eKurhuleni, avoid what has happened in the Eastern Cape, and sit down as leaders and try to persuade one another.
Yes, because
I'm
as you
aware
make
that,
this warning, pardon me for the interruption, but the ANC in Gauteng hasn't been doing too well. One would argue that there are more urgent matters to focus on, like using the selective conference to perhaps look at ways of connecting with the middle class, because it appears as though the party doesn't really have a set program which could essentially be talking to this group.
Mpho, the ANC in Gauteng should not spend time having to quarrel about credentials. Indeed, dealing with credentials is something important. The ANC in Gauteng should be able to be developing programs on how do they connect with the middle class in Gauteng. The ANC has been ditched by the middle class in Gauteng because it does not appear to be having programs that would resonate with the middle class. The ANC in Gauteng appears not to be able to deal with basic challenges facing ordinary citizens on the ground. And that is why the ANC then is not able to regroup on the ground and then be able to convince voters to vote for them. The ANC in Gauteng, when citizens are complaining about e-tolls, the ANC in Gauteng joins the people complaining and not providing solutions. Those are the issues that I expect Gauteng to be dealing with. As they move to the policy conference, they are wasting time for not discussing policy issues, because even at this stage, they have not even started to deal with serious matters. And that creates much bigger problems for the ANC in Gauteng, unless they will have another opportunity to reconvene and deal with serious issues that are facing the people of Gauteng. And because this moment has actually been missed by the ANC.
Yeah, and we also know that it's not the first time that Lebogang Maile and Panyaza Lesufi will be facing off. They wrestled for the deputy chairperson position a few years ago. As we try perhaps to weigh out the slates and perhaps looking at the probabilities, we know Maile enjoys the support of the likes of Dada Morero, who emerged as a leader of the Johannesburg region and has also been endorsed by the Tshwane region. Who's backing Panyaza Lesufi?
Well, there is a sign that people who appears to be the supporters of Panyaza Lesufi would always make. That indicates that the other group appears to be talking too much, and we're going to show them at the polls. The support of Panyaza Lesufi appears to have been a silent one. And what we know is that, of course, Lebogang Maile is safe when it comes to eKurhuleni, safe when it comes to Johannesburg, and the city Tshwane appears to be divided and not to be very clear about where they're actually going. I see the older people in the ANC appearing to be favoring Panyaza Lesufi, and it appears also to be enjoying support outside the other structures of the ANC. Unfortunately, those are not the voting delegates. The voting delegates are at the conference now. And if we have to look at the support that Lebogang Maile has, it appears that he might take the conference. But anything can happen. These votes are secret, and anything can actually happen because you don't know what is in the mind of a voter.
Indeed, anything can happen. Thank you so much for your time and that very thorough analysis. Political analyst Levy Ndou speaking to the ANC Gauteng Provincial Conference that we continue to be keeping a very close eye on.